all you health nuts out there, I want to introduce this guy to you. There he is. I first heard of this health guy a few days ago, Dr. Joel Wallach. Then I went to look to see some YouTube videos on him and his own videos. So I was watching this particular video here. He specializes in, healthy eating, reducing aging effects, longevity. And when searching his name on YouTube, I mostly came across videos on this channel, Judge Napolitano. They collaborated a lot. That's interesting. I know this guy, but let's save that for later. So I was watching this particular video, and I got 5 minutes in. It was kind of interesting. We're going to watch this together here. So I stopped at around 5 minutes. There was something really funny. And if I was recording at the time, you would have heard a really big laugh. I paused it right there and thought, this should be a video. I got to get this on tape. And this is a fitting discussion here that comes just a few days after a video I made about aging where I shaved. Okay, let's see how the video starts here.
We partner with the great Dr. Joel Wallach. He is, of course, an ND, as in naturopathic doctor, because his field of specialty, and it's beyond a specialty, it's a field of expertise, and it's beyond expertise because he's the best expert on the planet on this, is you.
I don't remember that one. Who is that kind of judge? I just made that one up. This guy's no health expert here, this Napolitano. I know the guy. He's not a health expert. I might mention that later. But, who is he to say that he's the best? When someone's like that, in these circles, it's usually because, they just like what this guy says the best.
Using nature and the body's internal mechanisms to help you heal yourself.
I agree with that.
Dr. Wallach, it's always a pleasure. Welcome back.
Well, thank you for so much of the kind words.
So when I was watching this, I took note, just thought, that guy looks old. And then I thought, yeah, he might be really old. And I thought of that because, that's what I think of when people tell me I look a certain age, and I say, I am almost that age. So, and he looks like an old person. I don't think he's just someone who just looks old. And yes, he is.
Why do some people constantly have the battle of the bulge, so to speak, and others can eat all they want and they practically have a six-pack abs in their stomach?
Now, we people in my circles, we figured that out. Some people can eat all they want, be thin. Styrations. But most people are just never going to accept it. But don't just assume this is another low carber that I'm going to, debunk. You're going to be surprised what he says here and also later on. Remember, I stopped at 5 minutes. We're going to watch past that. Maybe see some new crazy stuff.
The floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Well, what is obesity? Well, 40% of Americans are obese. 18% of those 40%,
that number seems a little high.
The definition of obesity is somebody who is 25 pounds or more overweight, over their body weight. We spend in America, and again, if you're 25 pounds or more overweight, you're obese. So what's the cause?
Again, he's repeating something that's just flat out wrong and never heard such a thing. The definition is 100 pounds.
A nutritional deficiencies are the cause, not a calorie deficiency, but a nutritional deficiency. When you're deficient.
You catch that? That's very interesting what he said there. I agree with nutritional deficiency. I've been saying that for many years, but I don't say it's the cause.
Which are 98% minerals and 2 or 3% carbon, and put them in their gardens for fertilizer. Boy, the plants in the garden just flourish and suck up the minerals.
He starts talking about wood being composted back into the soil.
Out of the fireplace and put them into your food as a spice. But they also had the minerals in them. Well, when we went to electricity, 1882, suddenly now that all went away. So I prefer that people get one of our books. It's called Rare Earths Forbidden Cures. 60 essential minerals, calcium and magnesium and zinc, all that kind of stuff.
Post your comments below. Skipping ahead here.
The bad minerals, lead and, mercury.
Is he going to say calcium? No, he's not one of those people, is he? Okay, I found where he starts talking about specific foods to eat and not eat. Oh, and because bad foods block nutrients. Yeah, he's going there. Anti-nutrients, I think. Yeah, I'll probably have a problem with this.
You have to avoid the bad foods so you can absorb the good minerals. The bad foods include gluten, wheat, butter, and oats. So you have to get rid of gluten. Your intestines should look like a shag rug with all the finger-like villi.
Yeah, I sort of agree with this, except for, well, almost everyone eats gluten, and it's not a problem for everyone. Also, it's a myth, sort of common myth. People think oats have gluten in it. They do not. They have a gluten-like substance.
Wheat and oatmeal are the two worst.
I got news for you. I'm a big oatmeal eater. Well, not meal, but oats. Yeah, this is oats right here. Dry oats in the mail. Lots of this stuff. Organic oats. And this isn't something I started a few years ago. Started this right when I went vegan, 1994. Like a pound a day. Long-lived people eat oats.
My mother, I won't tell you how old she is, but
see, this Napoleano guy, he actually calls the doctor out on some of this stuff. He says,
she eats oatmeal every day. She's thin as a rail. She's energetic, and she doesn't have a huge appetite, but she eats 3 meals a day, but always has oatmeal. Should she, I'll tell you her age, at age 97, God bless
97, what I would do is have her cut the volume of her oatmeal like in half and kind of replace it with rice.
One of my best buddies had some cardiac issues. The cardiologist said to him, eat oatmeal every morning.
Whew.
yeah,
And that's what he does.
That's not for longevity. That was for cleaning out the arteries because of the soluble fiber.
What's going to happen to him? Is he going to get obese?
What's going to happen is he's, in a period of 6 months, he will have killed all those villi in his small intestine.
Killed the villi? They're alive?
Why is it that some people are just naturally thin and they eat all they want of whatever, or it seems that way. They eat all they want of whatever they want. They don't have to watch what they eat.
Okay, well, these are people who are responding differently to their pica. They are ones who use a salt shaker with every meal. Take the top off and put the salt on their food, okay? This is why some people go crazy over salt.
But salt isn't going to do you much good. It just has iodine, some of it, sodium. That's 2 minerals. What about the other 60?
We have a pink Himalayan salt. It has 78 minerals in it. We've added a little bit of black pepper to it for a little zing in it. And this is in addition to all the minerals I'm taking with our products.
So he's supplementing? And that's inorganic minerals. Does that stuff get absorbed? That's a question too. I don't know if that's been ever proven.
I only eat 2 meals a day. I weigh 142 pounds. I'm 5'6". I weigh 142.
Pause. This guy here is saying he weighs 140. That's how much I weigh. An inch shorter than me. So we're pretty close in height and weight.
That one study I did, 454 species, 20,000 autopsy study. Human diseases that were supposed to be genetic in animals like muscular dystrophy and cystic fibrosis and heart disease and all that kind of stuff. It was very obvious that it wasn't genetic. It was nutritional deficiencies, and that's why my thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute.
Where were these sheep getting cholesterol? They're not eating eggs. They're not eating red meat. They're giving them grass clippings from the zoo. So where were the heterocyclamines and acrylamides coming from? Where are the trans fats? You're exactly right. The mixed grain was stored for 2 years in a metal 55-gallon drum in a metal barn. And during the summer times, you get over 120 in there. And it oxidized the wheat germ oil. And the wheat they were feeding those sheep oxidized, turned into trans fats, heterocyclamines, and acrylamides, and caused the plaque in the arteries. I spent 6 months researching those things and figured it out, got it published. I tried publishing it in a medical journal here in the United States. They wouldn't take it. They said, Wallach, you're out of your mind. That's a human disease. Why would sheep
I said, that was my question, but I figured it out. No, we won't publish it. I couldn't get it published in veterinary journals. They say, well, we called the medical guys because this is a human disease, and they said, you're crazy and we can't publish it.
People don't know how to think anymore. Human beings are not eating grains that were stored in a metal canister and left in 120-degree heat. Something no one talks about is that the food production system used for farm animals is completely different than the one used for human food. Oh, and yes, the fat in animal products can turn into trans fats too.
I mean, this is in the front page of the New York Times, and yet people continue to go to doctors. I just love my doctor. He told me to take 2 aspirin a day and my headache could go away. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of Americans. Cardiovascular disease starts in the intestines because you need nutrients, and we'll get into, for 100 years, the medical system has been telling everybody, eat more whole grains, they're good for you. Bam! You're dead. Because of gluten, wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Now, what was the breakfast of champions? Wheaties. Why do you think all the athletes die so young? Wheaties. What about Quaker oats? This is drop-dead serious problems. We're killing our kids by giving them all these grains. Vegetarians kill more people now than communists. You must supplement to get everything you need. And people will say, oh, people didn't supplement 100, 200, 300, 500 years ago. Well, yeah, they did. They'd put wood ashes from their wood stoves into the gardens. If they had cravings, they'd put wood ashes into their breakfast porridge. Grandma would go out in the backyard with a spoon and eat dirt when she had cravings. Well, dirt's minerals. Ashes are minerals. And that's how people got their minerals. People did supplement. My grandmother lived to be 112.
But what about all those trees out in the wilderness? Those trees eventually die and go back into the soil. The soil contains everything. Millions of years of recycling, back and forth, the circle of life. All the nutrients that are needed by everything is everywhere. It just seems like the problem is dumbness. Dumb people can't grasp those big pictures. Continuing on.
I weigh 142 pounds. I'm 5'6". I weigh 142 pounds. I'm 83 years old. And most people think I'm in my 50s when they look at me, my activity level and so forth. I don't look like I'm 83.
There it is. I laughed out loud and really loud. It's especially funny and fitting to me because lately I've been getting criticism. People say I look old. You know, they're anti-vegans though. And I had a lot of facial hair. That's why I shaved. And I am 55 and they're saying I look 65 or 70. And now here's a guy. This is why I had to bring this to you. That's all I need to say. I don't need to say anything. World's crazy.
Pounds. I'm 83 years old. And most people think I'm in my 50s when they look at me, my activity level and so forth. I don't look like I'm 83.
I thought you were significantly younger than 83. Significantly.
Kidding
and
me.
you and I have never met in person, but we have these happy conversations right now.
When Joel Wallach said that, Poliotano laughed just like I did because it is funny. That guy in his 50s, that is just funny.
People think I'm in my 50s when they look at me, my activity level. And people think I'm in my 50s when they look at me, my activity level and so forth. I don't look like I'm 83.
Both of these guys are jokers. Yet they have a large following, both of them, and they get respect.
There's the homepage. So if you go to Judging Health,
Here comes all the sales.
I'm 5'6". 145 pounds is good. I'm an athlete, so I'm very toned. Lettered in football and wrestling in high school and
He's very toned, people. Notice a memory problem there. He changed his weight in the last few minutes.
I'm just not hungry. And I know I have to have breakfast. I have to have my 3 eggs at breakfast, my 3 eggs at dinner time, so I get my cholesterol to maintain my brain. 25% of our brain weight is cholesterol. Don't let a doctor give you statin drugs to lower your cholesterol. Don't do that.
I haven't eaten cholesterol in 28 years. My brain's working great. That's the end. What does this host do that helps humanity? It's a good time to bring up who he is. I was also just thinking, look at these two clowns back and forth. This is like politics. Yes, this guy has or used to have a daily show on Fox News. Of course it's Fox. Republicans, conservatives, keto, animals, fat. It always goes together, doesn't it?
And you all have uncles and grandparents and parents who are in their 80s and 90s. They're eating eggs and cooking in lard and all this stuff and smoking the cigarettes and not exercising. They're 98 years old. And you had a cousin who went to medical school and he was jogging and doing everything right and eating salads and tofu, and he died at 52. To live to be beyond 100, there's a common thread. The short version is you have to keep the amount of carbohydrates in your life down, and I'll show that to you in a second. Now here's two fellas that made it beyond 100, and the interviewers asked them what their secret was, and she said she drank a glass of red wine every morning, and that she took a shot of whiskey before bed. And he said his success, 80-year married and being healthy for 105 years, came down to two words. And they said, what are those two words? And he said, yes, ma'am.
Well, I have said enough. You may have noticed the last few weeks I'm getting away from the carnivores. I just had enough of doing responses and debunkings of all those carnivores. And instead, I'm going to get into the main monkey business.